So the first record I did is in 1989. In 1989, an engineer wanted you to hit as hard as possible.
Wow.
Right? It was just like...
Did they ever explain the thought process behind that?
Just raw. It was like hit consistent and hit loud.
Okay.
Right? And so that's what I learned to do initially, right?
Right.
Like in 89, late 80s, there's a lot of rock. There's a lot of, like, for drummers, you're going to be rocking and you're going to hit hard. But I had also grown up playing more ballad stuff or playing with singer-songwriters, right? So I think really you have to have a lot of gears, is what I call it. Like, you have to know when you need to shift into fifth gear and be super rocking, right? And then know how to go all the way down to one for like a ballad or something, or even just a certain kind of thing where an engineer really wants to crank the pre's and you need to play really light, right?
Correct.
And so even it's funny when I use stuff like these guys, which I really love, these Roots EQ things, which make life really easy.
What are they made of for the...
It's just like, it feels like a lovely t-shirt, like a nice cotton.
And it has a wire hoop or something?
And it has a wire hoop, so it stays balanced on it and keeps it kind of even, so when you want to go for that Ringo thing, and if you're doing the Ringo thing, you're not going to hit hard.
Correct.
Right? You want to hit really light and let the engineers like kind of...
Let the compression do its
Let
work.
the compression do the job. And it's, you know, when I'm recording, the other thing I like to do is I will have either like the mono, whatever mic is crushed, I like to have that as the loudest thing I hear so that I'm not going to hit a cymbal hard. If I do, it's just going to blow my head off, right? So I know then how to hit the cymbals correctly without hitting too hard.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, and generally I would say that's almost all I would listen to. Like you could even see here right now, the poke mic is up the loudest for me. That's what I want to pay attention to. And even then I would have, and if this was a mix, I'd pull all of this down to where I was a lot quieter. So that I'm always listening to the song and reacting to the song, not playing to myself. Like that's, I think if you're paying attention too much to what you're doing, you're not listening anymore.
Correct.
Yeah. So
let's go back to the top, where it all began.
Where it all begins, right? And so really, you might even want to take this guy off if you're really going for rock, because there's so many guitars that we have to cut through, right? So the ring is not really going to even be as, you know, it might sound very ringy here, but through all the guitars, it's like, it doesn't sound quite like that, right? So let's see what we got, just general. That's pretty good, right?
That's it.
That's pretty good. But you could even take it up higher, right?
Yeah.
And again, I would always just start without, my thing is like, how do I get to things the quickest way possible, right? So again, sometimes it will be necessary to do that. Sometimes it's necessary to tune the bottom.
Correct.
Right, when you want to go really rocking. But let's just see what we can do here. Take that guy about the same.
That's pretty much a laser beam now.
Yeah. Right, and then now, if you're like, oh wait, I like that first guy better, right? So then we just go back to, that was about there. I probably should be keeping better
What's
track.
interesting is you're not even listening to where the pitch of the drum is while you're tuning. You're just cranking and then, oh, there we go, and then whack.
Yeah.
Are you
Now,
feeling?
if this was a track, what I would do is hear the key of the song, right? Or try to get it.
True.
That's,
Try to hit
that's
the
what I
note.
would be doing right for this right now where there's no song. It's just kind of, you know. Right, we're kind of back in that ballpark. Sounds just a smidge.
That sounds
higher.
great though.
Yeah, it's still good, right?
When you were going up, were you feeling matching tightness between
That's what
them?
I do is I just kind of do it by feel. I mean, if you have a pretty well-tuned drum, the thing would be is like I'm going to do a half turn, right, on each guy.
Yeah.
The thing that's funny about drums, and not all of them, is just, and a head, you're dealing with things that hopefully are consistent, but maybe they're not. Maybe they've been sitting on there for a year, and so part of the head is stretched just a little bit. There's a lot of things that like just doing it exactly like that may not work out exactly for you, but if you were, you know, kind of just taking a listen with your ear, kind of being mindful of somewhere in the ballpark there, let's just say we do a half turn, right? And a half turn is going to be a pretty dramatic, right? That's very nice drum sound. So let's put the key on somewhere here, and we'll do like a half turn, right? Put the key on there.
Going down?
Yeah, let's go down again.
Okay.
Half turn. Half turn. This is gonna be drastic, right?
Oh yeah.
Right, and I didn't have to go through all of this, and
Right.
now if I go a half turn back up, right? I'm gonna be back in where we were, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right, in the ballpark, and then you could fine tune it, whatever, like if you were,
Right.
Yeah. But to me, that's the trick, right? Because you can really lose your mind or waste a lot of time when we start going all the way
All the way
the
around.
drum. Yeah.
Okay, so from the producer engineer, Victor, the snares, the pitch is perfect, but too much ring. It's just a little bit too much ring.
Then we start. You want to start slight, right? So
Yep.
where do we have our little moon gel?
Oh, under the mixer there on the floor.
Yeah, here we go. So the cool thing, and I would say, when I work in Nashville, they want the drums pretty wide. It's pretty open.
Really?
Yeah, it's always pretty
Oh, wow.
open. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just, which
So
is
there's a lot of
interesting.
ring.
Because for me, like I'm so used to the feel of something when there is a lot of schmutz on there, right? Then playing a drum kit wide open feels entirely different. And you're like, oh, okay. You kind of adjust to that.
So it's a very rock mentality.
It kind of is. It's
Right?
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, wow.
It's way more rocking because you got a lot of guitars. You're
Ah,
cutting through, right?
Okay, makes sense.
Coverage.
So, okay, let's check this
Because
out.
it doesn't sound like that on the records, but
Depends. And then there's there's more modern things where there is programming. And so you're
Yeah.
getting into different realms of things. But I would say generally it's a very rock, these are drums.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas opposed to being in Los Angeles, a lot of times it's like, let's not make them sound like drums. Let's do the opposite of that.
Right.
Let's make it fit in with the programming.
Right.
Right. And so here's one moon gel. And then depending where I put the moon gel, right? If I go really to the outer edge of it and just put a little bit, okay, well, here's wide open. Then I just go a little bit, right? Like a kind of half of it there. Not that much difference. So then we go like here. And then I also know if I'm hitting the drum in the dead center, it's going to be more dead. But if I want to all of a sudden for one hit go get a little bit more note, I'm going to go to the side of the drum. So I'm going to go. Right, so already there I've got two different sounds out of the same drum, right? And then, funny enough, even if you only had one moon gel, where I put this moon gel is gonna affect it greatly, right? So generally a good starting place is kind of around the logo of the head, right? That'll give you a pretty good dead. But if I want to get crazier, then I come closer to the center. And then that's a whole other sound because now I've got some ring but some dead going on at the same time.
Yep.
And then depending, then if one's not enough, you could go two, and you could just keep changing it. With moon gels alone, you could make the drums super dead or do something completely different, right? And again, you could start out at the edge. Cool thing about making a drum like that dead or like that is you can articulate all the grace notes, right?
the drum sounds really good right now.
That tiny bit of moon gel is
Just
kind of
that's
perfect
really
for
all
that
you
drum.
need, right? And then again, if I want to move them in closer, right, I'm gonna get something different. It's like you get the highness of the tuning, right? There's a whole different thing. And then sometimes I'll even go just opposite sides, just to change how the ring reacts.
I like that. I think that's my favorite. If we were doing a rock-ish thing right now, I would be like, that's perfect.
Yeah. What's cool about that is like still being able to do the ring. So if I was going to do like a snare-based fill, I'd go out to the side a little bit to get a little bit of that more character or note to have it kind of poke through, right?
Yeah.
Right, and then again, you know, depending on what heads you have, what the thickness of the head or the,
what built-in dampening is on the head.
What's your preferred?
I love Remo CS dot, coded CS dot for a snare drum. To me, with that head, I can do everything I need to do.
And then the CS dot it's a coated head, correct?
It's coated head, much like this one. This one here is an Emperor X, so it's a little even thicker.
Oh, okay.
It's a little thicker.
So you like a little thinner?
Well, it's just barely. It's funny because on the toms I would use Emperors. These are Emperors.
Right.
I like that they're thick because again, that's going to hold a lot of different tunings.
Right.
Whereas Ambassadors will sound amazing, but they kind of live in a zone. Like with an Emperor or thicker drum head, I've got a wider range of things that I could tune it to.
Okay.
Because on any given day, I might get called to do something that's jazzy or like I have to use brushes. And so then I'm going to tune these up really high, right? It's going to be a whole different ballgame. And with an Emperor, for me, I just get a wide range.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ever approaching a tuning, the kit or the snare with, okay, we picked a song, I think this song needs a bell brass?
Yeah. Always. So it's always a song.
But do you pick the tuning where the pitch should start by what you're hearing through the microphone in your headphones or acoustically in the room?
No, it's through the microphones generally, I'd say, because I think in the room sometimes can be a little deceiving.
Very.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And then also depending, like if, you know, there are some engineers who place the microphone this far, and then I've had engineers who have it literally.
Just literally living on top of
literally like so close to the head. And so obviously that's going to be
Just mic in the ring.
Exactly. So you have to then, I have to adjust for that, especially if it's going to be something dry and dead. I will make sure that there's moon gel or whatever I'm doing right at the source, right? So.
That's smart.
Yeah. Well, that's the hard part is, like you said, you go in a room like this, any drum you hit, it could be the worst sounding. It's
going to sound great.
Probably going to sound
corned
pretty
beef
good
sandwich you're hitting, and it
Yeah.
sounds amazing. you know?
Corned beef sandwich.
Yeah.
Victor, where's that corned beef sandwich snare?
But, you know, as close as you can get to having the right tools so you can get something done, right?
Exactly.
And what I know of, you know, working with you, your bar is very high. You are definitely like, you are a stickler, right? And so to me, it says a lot that this is like, I've seen you use this stuff on sessions when there are no cameras and nobody's, you know.
You were asking about like bottom snare, and I started thinking, how much do I use the bottom snare mic? Sometimes not at all, you know?
Song dependent.
Song dependent. You know, if you're using a lot of overheads, a lot of room, I don't need any more sizzle.
Yeah.
You know, maybe use the bottom just to send to reverb, you know, because that snare sounds real nice through a plate, but you don't need any more of it in the mix.
Yeah.
You know, the shell mic, you get a lot of great crack of that shell. Sometimes I'll take that one, pull it up higher and distort it, you know? So like put it side by side so they're phase aligned, the top snare and what was the side snare, have them both on the top. But one of them you can just way overcook.
Yeah.
Just turn your Neve up to 40, 50, 60. And you really, especially all that ghost note stuff you're doing, will pop real nicely into that second mic. And then when you hit it hard, you're getting a nice sound out of your main snare mic. And the second one just folds over.
Yeah.
And you get that like, which sounds pretty cool in a rock track.
Yeah. I think, isn't that the really, like, you know, if you're recording, the thing is like, this is one part of it, right?
Yeah.
Getting a nice, good, solid sound, but then knowing, like, somebody could be at home like, man, I'm doing all these grace notes, but they're just not coming through.
Right, correct.
But that's the stuff you got to know right there, right?
Yep.
Right.
It's like having that mic that is either compressed or really gained up, and then all of a sudden, all those things.
Or
come
just
through.
a condenser instead of a dynamic or what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing too is we get a lot of engineers. You do as well. I've seen you. We have so many clients asking for vague changes.
Yeah.
Sounds a little too blue, and I was thinking, and I'm being really extreme.
Yeah.
Sounds a little too blue, but you know, but a lot of them are a little bit more. You know, the snare. Okay, come on. What do you got? It's just, I don't know. It's just me. And then so then you got to go. Okay, if you're tracking, is it the instrument?
Yeah.
But if you're mixing, is it the tone?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when somebody says that to me, I just go, I add more poke in the mix, or I add more side snare in the mix. And then they go, oh, that's great.
Right.
They just wanted excitement.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I think that's the thing in tracking now, where people are used to things sounding like a
Done.
record. Right?
Yeah.
It's they want the mixed version where where now you're throwing a bunch of compression. on.
Correct. And in the world of digital, analog, all of those things, because you never ever had to think about delay compensation. But DAWs, as engineers, we're always thinking about delay compensation. What can I do and what I can't do live while recording. And people get really wigged out when the sound is great on playback, and then you drop into record and it completely folds and changes. Wait, what happened?
Right.
Like,
Where did
and
our
I'm like,
sound
dude,
go that we worked
it's
so hard
delay
to get?
compensation. It's digital. I can't move the ones and zeros any quicker.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think Alex is going to talk about it in a little while. He had some ideas for today about stuff that I was like, damn it, I wish I didn't think about that. To help with that, where you can kind of get a little bit more of a polished mixed sound while you're tracking.
Yeah.
Live.
And so the interesting thing, if you are a guy and you're recording at home, right? So each day when somebody sends you their files, and let's say they're not there to give you that kind of direction, they could give you a general ballpark. What I try to do is have enough different kind of options.
Right. And you're talking about microphone options.
Microphone options, and then what the microphones are doing. So generally, you know, most things I will leave. Here's the problem I run into. If I'm tracking for a songwriter, they want it to sound mixed when I send it to them.
Oh, wow.
If I send tracks to Chris Lord-Alge that he sent me, if I have any compression on there, I'm going to get a phone call and I'm going to get yelled at. Because it's like he wants to do that, right? Don't put reverb on your rooms. Don't put compression on anything, right? So what I try to do is have a mix of, like, I have my general things will be flat, and then I will have, like, this guy might have a little compression, and this guy will have a lot of compression. So for that thing of like, oh wait, I need this kind of sound, and then depending how you layer the microphones in or leave some out altogether, you can have a million different sounds.
Now, Victor, are you doing that to your DAW?
I
that
am
compression?
That's with hardware inserts, like a
Yes.
pre and a compressor into
Yes.
your DAW.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're committing that
generally everything else is going to be, you know,
flat,
except I do the thing that Alex was talking about, where I have a mic here and it's cranked and it's compressed, just to give you that kind of thing.
So you have a dry
I have a dry
and a
Dry
compressed.
snare.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that, you know, if you want it just flat, don't use that mic, you know. If you don't want this compressed crazy sound here, don't use that mic. And then you'll have a very generic kind of just good normal drum sound, right?
Yeah.
And then figuring out, do I have the rooms up high, right? On anything, we could record all these mics and you could have an extremely different sound depending on the flavor of mics you put in,
yes,
right? You're
correct.
like, oh yeah, okay, overhead's gone,
Yep.
room's gone, and you're gonna have one sound, right?
Right.
Or like, you know, even taking the tom mics out, as you guys do a lot during mixing, right? Maybe you'll mute the tom tracks. Or,
Exactly. Or not use them at all,
or not use them at all. Yeah.
if you can get away with it.
Yeah. So I think, again, like all of it comes down to, if you're at home and you're doing this stuff, you got to experiment. You got to figure out what works. And the thing that I did do is I would have a buddy. I have a lot of friends that are engineers, and when I first got set up, I recorded a little bit, and I was like, "Hey, can you come over and let's check my phase?" Because I knew that was a thing, but I didn't know initially how to even look for it. Now I know how to do it. But I even called you the other day because I was having a weird problem where even though I had the phase flipped on my underneath snare mic, it was still out of phase for some reason. And I messed with I think it ended up being a cable.
Yeah.
Funny enough, and I was like, I've never heard that a cable could make something out of phase.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Pin 3 hot instead of pin 2.
Yeah, so having somebody that you could either send your tracks to so they could take a look at it and go, oh yeah, this looks good, or maybe, this mic is out of phase, and was extremely helpful.
Yeah.
Right? So we put some Zildjians up because I think they're the best, personally. What do I know? I don't know.
Well, what hats are these?
All I know is Zildjians work great, and so do a couple other companies. And then there's a few companies that are like, what the fuck are they even doing in here? Did I say that out loud? Yes, I did.
But
anyhow,
I think, like all things, right? Whatever gets you your sound.
exactly.
Yeah.
That you can get across. Let's see, let's do a crash. Right? People like the crash cymbal every now and then.
Eh.
Though, I think if you have a really good song, you don't need a crash. You don't need to tell people when the chorus is if you have a good chorus. Right?
It's on
Pretty
Boris.
high. I don't think I would play it up that high, but... And let's do something weird.
Oh yeah, you can place your cymbals on the stands, and I'll help adjust for you.
Let's see. Let's do that.
Oh yeah.
Little cymbal on cymbal action.
Oh.
Thank you.
We're going crazy.
Yeah.
How tight or?
I don't know. That's the thing. I'm sure a lot of the kids out there are aware of doing cymbal stacks. Maybe not. Right? Some companies actually sell them as a package. But I've been doing this a long time. I used to do it when I would have a broken cymbal or a cymbal that wasn't so good. A couple of them, I'd put them on top of each other just to have a different sound. And depending if you have it loose, you could use it as a crash kind of thing. Or then sometimes they use it, they tighten it up, and then it's more like a hi-hat sound. You could use it as.
Then you got a cool loop.
Yeah,
Cool.
like that, right?
Very cool.
So when I do the notebook paper too, I will usually tape it so it doesn't. And then that also creates a cool thing depending how we tape it. Thank you, sir. So if I tape just one side of it, that means the paper is going to flap up a little bit, right? And still give us some tone. So let's go like that.
Oh, so you're going to tape it to the rim.
Yeah. Tape
Got
to
it.
the rim. Let's do that.
More air,
Yeah.
but still dead.
It did bring the pitch of the snare down just a touch with that. Do we like that?
I love it. Oliver, can you mark her? I love it. I think this is a great place to start. So with that in mind, we want to take a little bit out of the room out of the equation.
Yeah.
We're going to put some baffles around you and see how much it changes.
Great.
See, and you can tell Victor's a true professional because he's just like, I'm getting the fuck out of the way. Let these guys do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Do you also like to whack the rim right when our ears right there too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I never do. You know I'm good about that. I never do that.
So the carpets are going to help deaden the room itself. It's going to take the decay down because the linoleum floors, so it is reflective. So it's going to help shorten the room time a smidge. And the more carpet you put, the more it's going to decrease. It's just absorbing high-end information. It's not getting away low-end information, which is kind of a cool thing. Because it's easy to get, the more low-end I can get out of stuff, the better life is for me as far as like trying to make things feel big. That's the size. The gobos are going to help keep the room from reflecting back into the drum mics themselves. And it's going to be a pretty sizable difference. It's not going to take it away completely, but it's going to tame it. So then the theory is then you can, if you have a particular song that might be super fast tempo, generally if it's tighter and drier, transients can poke out a little bit more and compete with the guitars, versus a slower song that has more space in it, so you can push up the rooms more, but then the drums still have punch to them because the space is there for transients to poke through. And so that's what we can do here is you just make a conscious choice of like, no, I want to contain the close mics as much as I can, even though they're still in a large room, with baffling and with carpeting. And then per song basis, I can push the rooms up as much in the mix as I want.
So when we were recording Medicine at Midnight, for instance, with Foo Fighters, that was one where we were going into a living room, you know, so we just used what was there. There was a rug, there was a couch, a couple chairs. Mm-hmm. Maybe we had like 2 or 3 gobos.
I can't remember if it was 3 or 4. But
maybe 4.
Maybe.
So, yeah, use what you have. Rug's the biggest one, you know. If
rugs, or the cheapest solution, packing blankets from Amazon or Lowe's or Home Depot.
Yeah.
There's everywhere. And you can get alligator clamps and either cheap mic stands to put them up and clamp a packing blanket to a stand, and you can raise it where you want it and put it in the room. It doesn't look great, but it's very functional.
Mm-hmm. I go to Foam Mart in Culver City and just buy sheets and sheets of. That was actually one of my favorite sounds that we got on Concrete and Gold.
Correct.
Again, Foo Fighters. At East West, they had these sheets that they're not sheets, they're 1 foot thick by like 4 by 8. Mm-hmm. And we line, I think we completely encircled, a foam of just acoustical foam. And encircled a drum kit with the foam. Mm-hmm. And that stuff just absorbed like all of the pressure of the kit. And we had it in the middle of a scoring stage. Yep. So big, tall room, 30 by 40 sort of room, something like that.
And then last but not least, there is, I don't know the name of the company, I'm sorry, but they make buildable gobos. They come in almost like Lego blocks. They're very light. They're very easy to maneuver around. I don't think they're that expensive for what they are, but the great part about them is you can break them down and store them a little easier than a massive gobo.
Right.
And that's something else to look at. I know a client of mine has several of them in a house that's sort of a temporary recording situation at the moment. He didn't want to spend a lot of money to kind of treat the rooms at the house just in case he had to move out of there. So that was his solution.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, these things work really well. They're amazing.
And at the same time, building a gobo, like if you are in a spot where like I'm going to be here for a while,
Yeah.
you can build 3 gobos. It's it's regular unfaced, like R20, R30 insulation, pegboard, and some 1x5, 1x6, something like that.
You got a handy friend that's a carpenter and a case of beer.
There you go.
So once again, the room mics are muted at this moment. It's like the perfect, yeah, and it's like the perfect blend.
Yeah.
Because if you were having guitars, that would get chewed up.
And here's where we were.
That's same.
Soupy.
Yeah.
Makes
Just not
that-
as defined,
Yeah.
but still really cool.
Well, it's got a nice tail now, but the room's not in the way of the drums themselves. The attack.
Close mics.
Yeah.
Okay, Victor, right now we've got the drums sounding, they're sounding really freaking good, actually. Timbre of the kit sounds great. The tuning sounds great, everything. The baffling certainly helps, but what if we go more contained on the overheads to sort of get more of the direct sound of the drums instead of the room?
That would be amazing.
So then how low, one of the big things, this mic, the mono overhead, funny enough, is kind of usually a big part of my drum sound. It might be, Alex could probably say the same thing as well. Because there's something magical happens about, well, it's just called sound waves. You hit something, sound wave builds, builds, builds. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And a mic a couple feet away from a snare drum, for example, has a lot more body and depth than a mic that's right on the drum.
Yeah.
However, there's attack and transient on the mic that's by the drum, but not much body.
Yeah.
So it's this push-pull situation. So with you, though, how low can I go, Victor?
You can go all the way down. You can go as far as you want.
I always try to use the drummer's forehead as what I'm aiming for.
You can
like
go below
capsule
if you
pointed
want.
right at the
Oh
forehead.
yeah, there's,
But again, like what you would do as the player, then you have to adjust what you're doing, right? So when these come down, if all of a sudden I smack these cymbals, it's not going to be very nice.
so what if I go that low and then we're kind of over the drum? There we go. So literally it's, and then the shitty part too is I always do this to them, and then all of a sudden they have to reach over, bend over, and adjust something on their snare because they can't see it, and then
Right into the
oh fuck! How many recordings I have that on tape? Seriously.
Got to move the mic again.
So I'm gonna do the same on the overheads.
So now overs.
Yeah, the left and
Do you
right.
find, Darrell, do you find yourself always doing your overheads on an even plane?
I try to.
You try, okay. I always do the old measure with a mic cable. And so just to give it that image when you listen to the left-right overheads that the snare's not veering left, I'll go, and it ends up, the mic on the left side of the kit ends up being a little higher than this one that's a little lower, which looks funny, but then I hear it in a stereo context.
And it sounds fine.
It sounds good. Having said that, once you have the overheads in the mix of a mix, the snare being a little off to one side isn't
not
a big deal.
Yeah. But it's interesting about saying that, though. How many records have we listened to where the snare is off to one side of the overheads? And then the big one is the rooms. How many times have we soloed room mics where the kick is screaming loud in the left room,
Right.
but the right room is all snare?
Yeah,
And half of me is always like, did they put this room by the...
right.
But it's just
Just the reflection.
It's just the reflection.
Yeah. Or the drummer's tilted a little, so the kick's firing one way and the snare's off to the side.
So what if we go like that, Alex?
Yeah? Go even?
Yeah.
How's that?
Beautiful. I mean, it's funny, though. Funny he.
I feel like I spend so much time placing mics visually
Yeah.
to make them look good.
Oh, you know what? Okay.
And then you go and you listen to them, you're like, sounds the same.
Alex, this floor overhead floor could go in. It's too far out.
All right. Oliver.
What I do is everybody has their own style. Alex's way is actually kind of a little bit more politically correct, dare I say. Whereas, and quite frankly, it was like the Glenn Johns thing. He took a mic cable and he would measure from the snare all of his mics, and that's how he knew everything was phase coherent. That's not always the situation you can do with in modern mic technique with drums, you know, just the way where it depends on like, so if I'm producing engineering, I'll do whatever I want. If I'm engineering for another producer, he might have thoughts about like, no, I want a poke, no, I don't want a mono room, or I want something on the overhead, or I want a more of a trash mic right in front. There's several things.
I've got to have this one.
I got to have this one thing or two things, and so it becomes this. And for me, it's just like, sure, whatever. So it becomes a little bit more of like, well, just throw it all up and more is more, and then we'll deal with the phase relationship later because thank God, there's plugins now that help us with that. Seriously. So you don't have to worry about it as much, which is rad.
Which the easiest one is throwing an EQ plug-in on, right, and then just hitting the phase.
Yes.
Oh, just to flip the phase.
Just to flip the phase.
Yeah, right.
But the really easy one is called auto align.
Right.
We
love that one.
So, that being said, so I know you said go for it, but is playing that same pattern?
I will play the same pattern, and I will do my best not to hit this beautiful microphone.
I don't think it's mine, so go ahead.
Okay.
So here is before we deaden the room. Deadened room. And then messed with the mono over compression here.
Sounds cool.
All right, and then this is with the overheads all brought down. All right, and then should we open up some room mics?
Yeah.
So here's the... So those are the stereo rooms, mono. Yo.
You see how when he opened up the rooms now with the kit contained, so you're still hearing a lot of transient out of the kit, but then we're just sort of artificially adding tail in there, but the kit still has punch. Whereas if it was go back to where no baffles, and then add
so here's
still a really cool sound, but you're losing articulation out of the direct.
It almost like acts like a free-delay.
Yes.
yeah,
Like it
Huge
sounds
difference.
Like free-delay.
Yep.
yeah.
The hard part about knowing the knowledge that we know is not driving yourself crazy and walking in the room in day one and going, okay, this is the plan. And you sort of stick with the plan because you could easily go down the rabbit hole of spending a week just trying to figure out what drum sound you want to get.
Right. In this day and age, we don't have the budget for one day of that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
You know.
at least with what we are doing right now, we kind of have the best of both worlds covered, where lots of mic options for said client to distort, trash, make it clean, make it punchy, whatever they want. And also drums themselves are nice and tight and contained, really punchy. But then there's still a good room microphones placement situation where they can crotch those, bring them up to taste, leave them in a little bit, or mute them, depending on what they want to do. And then just like, okay, and I'm sure Victor will say, okay, now we're going to cut 5 songs, go! And then we've cut 5 songs by dinner. Happens all the time.
The thing you can do too is if you don't have that room, right? Say I'm in a bedroom, right? What I would do is I would take a mic, have a little salt shaker mic, and either I'll put it up really at the highest point or in a corner, somewhere, usually actually centered across from the drums, and then I put a reverb plug-in on that. So I can fake that same thing, right? And
absolutely.
then kind of put it in there to taste.
Yeah.
Like, because not everybody is gonna be able to come to a place as amazing as this and
Correct.
have great engineers and
That was kind of a big revelation for me in my recording journey, was trying to get that, home recorded drum sound to sound like it's in a big room.
Yeah.
And you take your kick and your snare and your toms and you send them to a reverb. Like, it just sounds like it's reverb.
yeah.
And then finally someone was like, no, take your far mic. Like,
Yeah.
put up a really far mic and add a little bit of reverb to that. It was
Yes.
like, oh,
Yeah.
that it all sounds natural. It's
Yeah.
like
Comes
part
the
of the kit.
closest to mimicking
Right.
a good room like that. Yeah.
And now they have great room simulators.
Now they have
Amazing.
really good
yeah,
room
there's-
simulators.
yeah. This room should do a plug-in, right?
Yeah.
It's like, that's a pretty great sounding room.
We'll sample it tomorrow.
Yeah. Is there ever a time where everything being perfectly in phase is not a good idea?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Sometimes if you go down the rabbit hole of like, I'm going to get this perfectly mixed,
Ugh.
and then you go and put a plugin like that on where it is checking the phase, your mix completely disappears.
It's going to fall apart.
Falls
Right.
apart. And sometimes it's detrimental to the point of like, I had such a cool thing going, and then I got the phase right, and now that's fallen apart.
Right.
Because you can use the phase of the phase relationship of the microphones as an EQ.
Right.
Sometimes if you have 3 mics on a kick drum and one of them is out of phase, and you have a great, like with 2 of them, it's like, a lot of click, a lot of bass, and a lot of mid-range. And then you pull up this 3rd mic, and it might, if it's out of phase, it might scoop out that low mid.
Right.
That is pleasing. You're happy that it's getting rid of that. So then if you flip it and put it in correct phase, it's not as good.
Right.
So
So would you say the majority of time you're doing it by ear that way?
Starting at least.
yeah, especially in the tracking phase at this point,
Right.
you're doing it by ear, just like kind of wide swaths of like, is this in phase? I think it's in phase. Okay, no, that, now you flip that, and it's always like a dance of like
Always.
Right.
going through, and then like even before the last take, I realized the side snare, which we thought
We checked.
we checked, but I'm looking at it, and visually it's 180 degrees out of phase.
Right.
So I flipped it.
So you flip it.
Yeah.
And then
I'll-
you can zoom way in on the waveforms and look
Right.
at them there.
Okay, and then let me ask you this about, so say the snare, I like this sound, I love what the poke mic is doing, but I want a little bit more processing on it. Would you then create an aux track or something to bus it to, or would you then treat that on the actual track?
Depends on what part of the tracking we were in.
Yeah. Because you start getting into problems of delay compensation.
Correct.
Things like that, which I think is kind of what we're going to get into next, is trying some of that processing,
Right.
but doing it in such a way where we can track with it.
Okay.
And that's where the Neve comes in.
Well, I want to.
Or any
I
console.
want to learn that. Okay.
So yeah, like you were saying, you like to do your mono overhead with some grit.
A little bit of
Little-
grit.
little
And then I would
compression.
have a poke mic that would have a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
So that way you're doing it in line,
Yes.
in the analog domain where there's no latency,
Yes.
no problem. Everything, the phase,
Yeah.
delay is all the same. If you are tracking and you want to do that in the box, you might think, well, I'm just going to throw my favorite distortion plugin on the mono overhead or whatever VCA compressor I love. But now that track is 30 to 1,000 samples later.
Right.
Which isn't really gonna bug you that much.
Right.
That small of a delay.
Well,
exactly.
I mean, I hear it immediately where it sounds like, hollow and kind of,
So to
phasey.
fix that, would you scoot the track?
Well, you don't want to do that
don't wanna
because
do
as
that.
soon as you hit stop,
Right.
your delay compensation is going to
Kick in.
knock it all
I
into
see.
line.
I see.
So
We're just talking about monitoring only while recording.
Right. So while recording, it's important to have the same plugin on every track.
Right.
So even if you have a 30 sample latency on your mono overhead, you have it on all of your tracks. So you could put a distortion plugin on one track and then put it on every other track, but bypass it. And then it has the latency of the plugin.
I did not know this.
Yes.
You knew it though, right? Yeah.
I, by default, track with, just because of the world of modern pop production that we live in, I put a SSL, like a channel strip plugin on every drum track. Just so if I'm in the middle of tracking and I know I loved verse 1 that we already did on take 2, but we're already in take 7, I don't want to go messing with my inputs.
Right.
Because then now my tracks are not going to match up. So that's when I'll reach for a plugin.
So if you were already tracking through, say, an Apollo that has a console that you're already using channel strips, would you then put another one in Pro Tools? Would you put to do what you're talking about, or does that count as?
Well, anything you're doing in console is getting printed, theoretically,
Right.
depending on how you have your console set up.
There is a record side and a playback side.
Right. So.
Or should I say a record side and a monitor side?
Yeah. So it just depends on if you're monitoring in console, then it doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
It gets a little convoluted.
Yeah.
It does, unfortunately.
But if you're tracking and printing what you have in console, then I guess the way I'm talking stands.
Right.
Because, just imagine what you're doing in console is what we're doing on the console.
Right. Got it.
So if you're already down the rabbit hole of 30 takes,
Right.
you don't want to mess with your inputs.
No, you do not. No.
Unless you're ready to change.
Right.
Now that being said, Victor, you can cheat. The cool thing about modern recording today and being on a console is just we have more ways to route stuff. So which is great. But when you're on an Apollo in the box situation, that does limit, you kind of tie your hands about, you kind of just have to record direct and then sort of process or effect post unless you have outboard gear.
Right.
But you can buy a simple Y cable and mult a microphone.
Right.
Mic goes in clean one side and the other side goes through some crazy, your favorite compressor, distortion, blah, blah, blah.
I do that.
And then
with
blend to taste.
Yeah.
So that way you're always hearing it in real time and there's no latency to deal with, even on playback or record.
Right. Is this all too a little out there?
No. Yeah, and you can buy, Y cables are really, really cheap, funny enough, on Amazon. They're like a couple bucks each or $10 each.
You got to be a little careful with phantom power and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
they have
if
pricey
all
ones,
of this scares you, make friends with an engineer who'll come over to your house.
okay, so snare top.
Beefy.
Butter. There's all this. A lot of snap.
Nice low end.
It's amazing.
Usually I feel like I'm adding low end to the snare to get that beef. I don't think you'd need to do that. I'd add some 10K to this.
Yeah,
That's
very
kinda-
true. Very true.
But there's a lot in the bottom.
So there's, brightness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of brightness.
You know, I was going to say too, Alex, solo the snare top again. Getting a lot of snare buzz out of that top mic. Almost to the point to where would you really even need the snare bottom?
No.
Not at all.
Especially if you were to brighten this up. Sorry,
So
going broad, 10K.
Oh yeah, there you go. Done.
Yeah. And then a lot of times I'm going 100 hertz, but it's no need.
No need. Okay. So snare bottom. Spongy.
Sounds like a snare bottom.
Sounds like a snare bottom. But, however, notice how much, or should I say, notice how little kick drum there is in that snare bottom?
Yeah. None at all.
Let's play that again. And that's great. That's insane. Me personally, a lot of bleed in the snare bottom mic never really bothers me that much. It is what it is, blah, blah, And funny enough, a little bit of soft, gentle gating can clean that up if you're so concerned about that. However, the fact that we could process the ever-living snot out of that bottom mic right now, and you gonna do it?
Here's just.
There you go. Gentle gate. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, and the kick doesn't even trigger this. The kick's not even triggering the gate open.
No.
It's the
Well, I did a
snare.
little, dynamic side chain here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Snare side.
All right, and then the side mic. More kick.
Wait, no. That's
toms.
interesting.
Kind of mid-rangey.
Very mid-range.
Sounds like the shell of a drum.
Okay.
So here's top again. And then add in the side.
It's a cool thing.
Yeah, I'd almost. Well, that's a thing too.
The moral of the story is you're very, very covered with whatever you decide to go down the road. So it's kind of a more natural drum sound with a little bit of EQ and compression just to make it kind of sit, or blow it up to make it its own cool, unique thing. You're lots of options, lots of choices there.
See, and then you can get into things like this.
So what is that though?
That's just a Sans amp.
On?
Oh, on the side.
Okay. Okay, now blend it into taste.
Or not taste.
Just cut some of the top
Yeah.
end off on the Sans amp.
Yeah.
No, just-
Oh, just here.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So, Alex, a really fun thing to do is, funny enough, is take guitar pedals and then dynamics are easier to do it with because they don't require phantom power. However, they make phantom power boxes that are really dirt cheap and you can do this with. And you literally take a cable out of the microphone into a guitar pedal of your choice. The Tech 21 Comp Torsion is so much fun because it's a distortion and a compressor in one thing. And then pummel it and then record it on a separate track. Or you can cheat and take like the mono overhead and Y it at the patch bay and then put it into PCP, which takes the level from +4 down to
Instrument level.
instrument level, and then bump it back up at instrument level, put it through a
Right.
pedal on another track, and do it that way. Both are equally as fun. I made a mistake once where I walked into a session, Joey was drumming, and I put a 57 on, and I was like, I'm just gonna get the biggest snare sound that I've ever gotten in my career. And I went through the console EQ, cranked the preamp really hard, compressed it, Pultec, API, Pro Tools. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. And then fortunately, the client asked me to mix. And I was like, oh yeah. And the first thing I did is I soloed up the snare top and I went, I'm hearing, I'm hearing every other part of that drum kit through that mic because I had so much gain going on it just to make it be this.
Right.
And it was a simple part to where I could just politely gate it and I was okay. but I should have never gone down that far of a road. And if I would have put a 208 up at that time, I wouldn't have had that issue. And I would not have needed to use half the process, probably less of the processing, quite frankly. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I called Brian about 2 years ago and said, I finally put the 208 on the snare. And he was like, what was wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know. Just didn't think about it, I guess. And it was life-changing when I did it.
Right.
The problem was, and Brian was aware, is just the physical size of the mic.
Right.
Sometimes you just can't get it where you want it to be. So, that's the great part about the snare mic, is it's a small,
Now, what about 308 on snare?
don't work.
You done that? No bueno?
Don't work, no bueno. It's a different beast. Maybe a snare bottom. Maybe.
I mean, that's oftentimes where, like, if it is just 2 mics, I'll usually go 57 top and like a 251 something, or a little AKG condenser on the bottom. Something like that, 451, there you go.
Yeah, and we're from the school of, we had, at Ocean Way, we had several pieces of foam that were this big, 2 inches thick, with a hole in it. So you could shove a 57 and a 451 through it and then baffle off the hi-hat. And it kind of worked.
Every little bit helps.
Every little bit helps, but it worked, but it didn't eradicate the situation.
Yeah. And what a treat to not have to do that.
Exactly.
I have worked, one of my favorite engineer producers, Joe Ciccarelli, we have done stuff where we made a hi-hat tent, which is bananas because I have to reach in, play in there, and come back out, right? So it's
Seriously?
Like full on.
Yeah.
Like you're going down like in the gopher hole to play the hi-hat?
Yes.
What was it made out of?
Just
Foam?
like a blanket.
Blanket.
A blanket over it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Joe goes there.
Joe goes there.
The problem is he
Hat,
knows, he comes up with these crazy ideas because he knows you can do it. And you're like, damn it!
That's the part I always say, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, sure.
That's your first
Oh, you want me to
problem.
hit a crash now?
That's your first problem. No.
Yeah.
No.
We'll overdub the crashes.
Yeah. The power of no, Victor.
Okay, I'll get there.
Okay. Well, it's a very interesting thing hearing Victor, amazing musician, on the kit in a really good room on this console, flat with just a little compression on the mono overhead and also gain matching, but there's no EQ going on. And in this environment, it sounds rad, but we haven't added a bass and a couple of guitars yet. So the drums would start sounding small and dark quick because of that. However, we do know that our raw source is really good, really good. But so it would be time to start processing, to go down the road of trying to make this a finished record as the first take is about to happen, especially with drums, bass, and guitars. Because I know I can say with, when I'm tracking, I still think like I'm mixing, but I'm just pressing record a lot more.
Right.
Because
Just mixing it on the way in.
on the way in, because I can get a really good kick, snare, and mono overhead sound, and I think this is the best thing I've ever done. But then as soon as I put guitar A in, like, oh, now my snare sounds small. So let me adjust. And then I put, the other guitar in. Oh, now my kick's sounding less pointy, so let me adjust. Then I put the bass in. Oh, now my kick drum sounds small. Let me adjust. And all those little things add up to being trying to make something really big and expiring. What about the kick in now? God, that fucking smacks you in the fucking face. Isn't that amazing? Now, the only bummer about the drum right now is there's a little bit of a low-mid buildup. So two things can happen. You can either just start adding fuckloads of low end and that'll go away, or you can scoop that out and call it a day. You want to scoop it?
Scoop it. Only have one EQ here. Oh no! Hey, God.
No, Alex, you'll be okay.
Hey, we'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
So 4-band.
Yep.
So that's a good top.
There's the top. Ooh. Other way.
Come on. There you go. Come to us.
No, he's not going to play a kick for an hour. So there you go.
So there's just in and sub.
Okay, Alex, what happens instead of scooping that out? Just adding.
So that's scooping 220.
That's correct. So add 110.
110.
But he's distorting, so hold on a second. See the difference? Now we're distorting, so hold on a second.
Is it that guy?
And we're... There it is.
Don't touch it.
Don't look at it.
You just got to come down on your output
Yeah.
gain a little.
Don't. No.
Because he doesn't want to touch the mic pre.
Yeah, no, the mic pre is great because that gets the saturation, you know, the input transformer,
it's-
all that.
Feeding into the kick. Feeding into the EQ. So if you bump the gain down, your EQ is going to change tonality, timbre a little bit. So we got it kind of like where it's.
Right. So
Notice-
once you get the sound,
So
then
how
it's all
much-
fader.
So how much are you boosting over there, Alex?
About
Guesstimation?
9 o'clock on the 4. There's nothing left on these channel strips.
I'll show you.
What is it? 4.7?
4.8.
4.8, and I'm about 5-6 dB on the
Okay,
top.
So what? How much on the low end?
On the low end, about 3 dB at 110.
That's only 3 dB. Yeah. So that's 3 dB at 110.
Yeah, so that.
And that's just the kick in.
That's just the kick in.
Which I'd take that to church any day of the
one
week.
mic.
Okay, so
Should
then
we?
add the subbing in again. The sub kick's just. But you can do crazy things with the sub kick. Maybe Loud Audio should make one. I don't know. But you can gate it so it tightens up, or you can put a transient designer on it and make the tail so you can make it ba-boom. Let's do it.
Yeah,
on.
transient designer.
Channel 3.
Channel 3. Yeah, number 1 on channel 3.
Shouldn't you use channel 3 on channel 3?
No. Want to confuse me?
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so here's. You want to just hear the sub?
Yeah. So there's no processing. So now the processing engaged with kind of like the stock.
Just straight.
So if I add attack,
That's nice.
so no processing, attack to a microphone that's not really a microphone. All of a sudden I'm getting point now, but then so no processing,
Could you put a line amp of that channel?
and then I could do the opposite.
Yeah.
I could take it away.
Yeah, channel 3.
On channel 3?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm going to change the preamp real quick.
Metal,
Give it a second.
perfect example. Hip hop. But let's put it in context.
Yeah. Real quick, we're going to just change into the line amp.
Oh, okay.
Go for it.
Oh, NS10 in the line amp?
Alex,
Yep.
since we have your computer into the line amp on the monitor section,
You can just
and
pull
it's
it.
on channel 3.
Just pull it.
All right, and then pull 3 out of.
Is it the 1-2s?
Yeah, the 1-2s.
Those are out.
Those are out. Great.
Cool. All good. We'll make it work. If you could call Rupert,
Yeah.
let him know we need
Dude,
this change.
seriously.
So that's in the line amp.
Yeah. There you go.
So Alex he's taking the NS10 and going into the line amp side of the preamp instead of the mic preamp side. So you can control the level a lot more.
Is that? Oh yeah. There you go.
And then
I
that's,
was just getting a little harmonic distortion on
Yeah.
the top there.
so then once again, there's flat. So let's hear it with the actual kick in.
So that's just kick in.
Yep. You can go a little crazier. Would you put a high cut? Let's just call it a high cut.
Inserted.
Yeah, in Pro Tools.
You can do it on the.
Oh, that's right.
Oh
you can
yeah,
do it
yeah,
on.
yeah. 1081.
Sorry.
Sub. Thank you. Thank
These
you.
e-
I
these
swear I know how
modules
these
are-
work.
Well,
There.
these modules are weird. It's not
There we go. So it clean up all of the extra.
That's cutting at 6K. That's cutting at 6K.
Great. That's rad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So kick
Listen
out.
to that fucking kick though when he double basses it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we forgot about the kick out. Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This 560 right here.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
560, please.
Which is API
17.
EQ 17.
Let's try to be professional here. Do you have Sharpays in here? Yeah. God damn it.
Scat band, Phil.
Hey. Oh, you got it. All right. If you could label that and that.
Wow, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, wow. Wow, wow. Wow, wow. Oh yeah. Hit me. Oh yeah.
Boring.
Just a little level adjust. Cool. Check it with our in. Yeah,
That's a kick.
that's a kick.
I'm kind of so in love with the kick in sound that
The kick
I
in
don't think it
sound.
needs a ton of the out.
Let's use it for a little bit. You know
Yeah.
what we could do is can we try the what's another one? Let's try the other 160 on the insert of the kick out.
Cool. After or before the EQ?
Before.
Before the EQ?
Before. Did you just change gain, or we
No, that's going to be a patch point, I'm guessing, or your output gain.
Shouldn't be that different.
Yeah, I'm getting it's looks single-ended of sorts.
Well, I don't know. Does this one? Oh, there we go. Yeah,
That-
thanks,
yeah.
Bud. Oh, the meter doesn't work.
Best kind of meter.
Just head to it more.
You bring the output way down.
Down?
Yeah, like yeah, that's
Now it's hard
that's
to
happy.
bypass this, but here how it's getting knocky. So that's, but then, now add that into taste with the kick in. Or actually, or, different,
That's pretty cool.
just a different
We're getting a
approach.
lot of bleed in that outside kick mic, but the bleed sounds great though.
And then with the kick in, you get more attack.
We can blanket the kick out.
Yeah.
If we need to.
Well,
My only concern is if it's too much room,
I don't think
but
so.
we'll see as we go.
I know. Right now we have more. I like to call like a knocky kick drum sound, where it's not the metal attack, which sometimes is appropriate for kind of all genres. But in this case, we're getting more of a cool knocky thing where the kick is just going to poke through in a little bit lower frequency, but still you're going to hear the attack of it in the mix, no matter what is going on with the guitars. Do you hear us making changes?
Yeah,
Cool. Are you liking it or are you hating it?
I fucking hate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's leave.
I'm just kidding.
All right, Darrell, you're fired.
You want to keep going more?
Yeah, you want to just roll me a click or something?
Oh, you want to click?
Just get me entertained.
You gotten that?
Yep,
Cook, cook, cook.
it's my favorite. Can you take out the accent?
Yeah, we have the technology. He does play more exciting. Cool.
Okay. Snare. So could we do that Pultec thing with the Pultec?
Yes.
Pultec thing with a Pultec.
That guy.
This one?
Is that a 183?
That's an EQ.
No, that's a 5. Yeah, this guy.
Okay. That is channel 1.
Is it just really low, Alex?
Yeah.
Or should I? Where should I? Where we're not gonna get it blasted if you unmute everything. Okay, there we go. There we go. Go ahead.
I keep turning it down when we're talking.
Who cares about what we have to say? Okay, go ahead, Alex.
So this we're just recreating the 10 dB. Hey.
So if you want more size,
So yeah, I mean, snare through a Pultec.
so bypass it. Might have too much bottom. Maybe. Yeah, there you go.
Boost and
Talk
cut.
about what you're doing there.
Yeah, so essentially with the Pultec, you've got it's a 3-band. So these 3, so you have a boost and attenuate at this low frequency, which on the low frequencies you have 30, 60, and 100 on this guy. And then you have these 3 knobs that are your high end. Oh, sorry. Wait, what the? Oh, God.
You can just talk about what you're specific.
What am I? Yeah, all right. Yeah, everyone knows a Pultec. Can you erase all of that, please?
Yes, you can.
No, that's what's going in the cut.
He's boosting the sizzle sizzle top, and he's also boosting the low low woof.
Yeah. Okay, so essentially what I'm doing here, I'm gonna do some 10K. You have a choice on the Pultec of either sharp or broad. I always go broad. Pultec is always broad. And then I boosted a little 100 hertz, and I attenuated a little 100 hertz, which creates a little bump right above 100 hertz. While it's cutting some, it's adding some. It's a weird Pultec thing.
Weird Pultec curve. But what it's really doing is it's taking up. As he's adding more low end, for whatever reason, the Pultec's also accentuating some of the low mid that's in the drum, just the way the tuning is. So by attenuating, he's kind of taking away that low mid dip. And then
That's a pretty damn good snare sound, just one mic.
I actually feel like you could. So there's was.
That's pre, and that's with it in. What are you thinking?
I actually think with the attenuation in, Alex, it's taking out a little bit of the size. No, leave that alone. Add more boost now. There we go. Perfect. See how it kind of got thicker, but it's not getting tubbier? All right, let's hear that in context.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Let's talk about snare bottom.
Snare bottom.
It's a snare bottom. I mean, I use just that top. Or not. Or not. Don't have to, really.
You want top?
Put it in context. Yeah, add a little sizzle. There we go.
Yeah.
Just to make it, I have some air, like a breath to it.
What are you adding to the top right now?
Oh, God damn it. Sorry. I hit stop.
He hit stop.
All right, top end adding 10K.
What?
Bro.
It's all kind of. I
I'm gonna go sit by the patch bed.
That's the fucking thing about Oliver. He likes to comment on how shitty you're doing, the job you're doing. Because he's fucking family and not an employee. That's the problem. Okay,
All right,
snare side.
snare side.
That's your drum loop. It's amazing how much snare bottom is in that.
Yeah.
So Alex, okay, you are gonna. So explain each step of the process.
All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm increasing the gain on the Neve preamp, but as I'm increasing it, I'm bringing down the fader, which lowers the volume to tape.
I'm gonna
So-
say this is a little difficult to do on Apollos and stuff.
Yeah.
You can do it.
You can do it in the unison.
You can do it in
won't
the
sound
unison.
the
You can do a
same.
you can do it in unison mode. But however, they've done a really good job of modeling those preamps to break up the way they do. Just
Yeah.
FYI. So if you grab like a 1073 or the 1081 unison, now to my knowledge, that's the only one that I know that would do it
Break up like that.
on the way in. You can certainly do it post, like the waves, the newer waves, Neves distort really well.
Yeah.
The BB tubes, like all that stuff. And I know there's tons of stuff at Plugin Alliance. So there's a way to record this just clean and then do it
Distort it
post.
that way.
Just distort it that way.
Or
But
if you're on, you know, a Neve recreation,
correct.
totally doable.
Yep.
The key is just having an attenuator on the output, which,
Correct.
which is what bums me about some of the newer AMS Neve stuff. Is it's just like 6 dB. You know, like you don't have a ton of trim on the
Right.
output. But there's always ways to insert a fader somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. So then go ahead and give us some level, Alex, and show us what it is. Now,
So that's that. So here's, I mean, that's where we were.
yep. Can you hear that okay? You hear what it's doing? It's ripping my fucking head off, but when you add it together,
That's cool.
very. I'm gonna ask for more top on the snare. I don't want to do it here, Alex. Do me a favor. Do it at the console. Oh, bummer. Or not. Do it on a plug-in.
No. I'm gonna get it. See? How does that happen?
There you go. Did you add a bunch of low end though?
No, I've done nothing. There's,
Alex, do a plug-in.
yeah. I gotta stop.
Yeah, that's fine.
You wanna
Hey,
tell 'em?
Victor, just gonna stop something real quick. Okay. Rock and roll? Okay, let's brighten up the snare.
Have.
I like that. Take it off. Okay. Hit me. Yeah,
Now
necessary.
what about,
I'm down.
that was just side snare.
Great.
All right, here's,
So who should we?
why don't we add in parallel DBX, kick snare,
Oh,
or you wanna keep going on inputs?
do move to mono overhead and poke first.
Move them.
Let's address mono overhead.
All right, so that's mono.
Mono overhead. We have been slightly compressing this
A little bit.
with a big fat tubby tube compressor, but let's go crazier. That is crazy.
That's crazy.
Level's okay. Now, let's brighten
Where should we brighten?
wherever there's EQ.
Smart Alex. Let's try it at the mic.
All right, let's try it at the mic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Victor. Stop loop.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. We're gonna change one thing on that mono overhead by your head.
Okay.
So should we go? We're on gentle. Let's just go neutral for a second and get a loop of that.
Great. Here it comes.
Switching from, what was it before?
Gentle.
Gentle to neutral, G to N. Are we ready?
Yeah. Big difference.
Yeah.
Now. Okay. One more switch. Let's go to forward.
Yeah.
Too much, but cool. Okay. Can we go back to neutral, please? Neutral's perfect.
Right. Here it comes.
Here comes the neutral. Yeah. Neutral. All right, man.
All right.
Wow.
So
That's a loop,
here's,
dude. Alex, would
Yeah.
you, could we hear kick, snare, mono overhead? So we're just hearing kick, in, out, sub, snare top, side, bottom,
mono over.
and mono overhead right now. I mean, that's the way to start. Now we can start adding in. What do you want to add in? Pope?
Should we
Or parallel?
look at the stereo overhead?
Yeah, let's look at stereo.
All right, over left is clipping. You want to just level those out. I think the pre's are.
Solo man boys. There we go.
I generally keep the stereo overheads just kind of clean and open.
Me too.
Just as, if everything else falls to the wall, this is a
You know what we
honest
should do
representation.
is but what's cool about the stereo overheads is this is the first time we're introducing imaging to the mix. Now I'm hearing this and this. And I'm even hearing the toms, which is rad. How about, what was it? So add those in the mix. See if it'll get to
They're
some.
pretty
his,
down in there,
Okay. But when he's hitting that crazy ride, though, it's
Good over there.
so now I'm hearing some imaging. No toms yet, right?
Toms are out.
Toms are out. Okay.
We listen to the toms.
Sure. I have to admit, I'm probably not even going to do anything to the mics.
Keep
And
going.
he stopped. There he goes.
Just tell him we're focusing on toms.
You think he got it? Or did you want to?
Happy with that?
Very.
Yeah.
Put it
Yeah.
in. Put it in. He's never going to hit a tom now.
1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, snare. Ask him.
Can you do some tom work? There we go. No, so we're correct. There we go. And those are flat. What do you want to do now, Alex?
I'd like to juice the kick and snare a bit.
Let's do it. Yep, it's hitting over here. Getting enough gain?
Yeah, he's just not playing right now.
There we go. So he's off the console.
Could you scooch forward just a touch? Yeah, just so I can.
He's taking the mic side. At the console, Alex is taking the mic side and sending them the kick.
Yeah, I'm sending the kick in and the snare top right now down an aux send over to the first DBX 160 VU there. And I just want,
There we go, more low end.
yeah, like just barely
See how
hitting
punchy
10.
it is? So now he can take that and blend it into taste into the drum mix, and it'll make the kick and snare sound more exciting.
Is that all right?
That sounds great, dude. So then, yeah, take it out. So no parallel yet, and he stopped. You need a pause, or can you keep going?
Just keep going, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So nothing yet.
Oh, he probably thinks we're still on toms. There you go.
Now it's in.
And I have EQ on it too, so you can.
How's the social level? Too hot? Okay.
Wow.
No, it's okay. Surprise. Now he's EQing the parallel return to get more attack, more bite. Now he's at more top, clarity.
That's kind of fun.
Add it in. More snare bottom.
works. So that's a cool vibe.
Very. We're not even hearing any room mics yet.
Or the poke mic.
Or the poke.
Do we want to process the poke some?
Let's do the poke. Let's make Victor happy.
It's kind of a secret. Right? So
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's a secret so much as, I mean, it was, you know, I learned so much about recording just by like looking at what other famous engineers, just like everyone at home's doing, you know. And one thing I found, I think it was Dave Friedman, it was just all about like blowing things out, you know, just whatever gear you have at hand, turn it up too loud and see what happens.
Turn it up to 11.
Turn it up to 11. And this was one of the things I found was this old, it's like a live 31 band EQ. And I just turn every fader up all the way as far as they go. And it creates a great dirty distortion. So here's without it. It also gets real loud real quickly.
Huh.
All of your compressors are set to infinity to 1. Every time. All of them.
Yeah, because that's what we do.
That's how you do things?
That's how we do things.
And then after the EQ, he's compressing it.
Yeah, so this is, and which is almost more for level control than
Yeah.
anything. Although these 165s, like, they do I mean, listen to that. That's the peak stop limiter.
But at the same token, the 165's adding a bit of, it's tightening
Yeah.
whatever crazy overtones are happening.
Well, and here's without it.
There's without it, right? There's with it. And then now we're just checking level, which is pretty low to tape at the moment. The useful thing about it is you can use it to taste, but a lot of times clients will be like, you know, the drums are just a little, they're not exciting enough for something to me, and you can grab that fader and add it in a couple dB, and then they'll go, oh, yeah, just about that little bit of sizzle that's on the top. But then two, hey, Victor, you got a poke mic. You hearing it?
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, you didn't even change the level, did you? You just went to stun. So, and now Victor's playing to it.
And it's great. He can hear if he's hitting the cymbal too hard and it's distorting it in a bad way, you know. So he knows how hard to lay into his cymbals. Which is a great thing about having the processing on the way in instead of doing it in post.
Yeah, because now we can just, at this point, we can change levels and balances on things to totally change the EQ and or drive and or compression or the reaction of what's actually being printed to tape. And at the same time, we're not really painting ourselves in a corner because a lot of the external processing is on separate faders. So if somebody walks in and goes, okay, this is too much for this song I want to do right now, we can just mute
Easy.
it.
So what if I walk in and I say, these drums sound great, all they need is room?
Ah,
We have that technology.
well, if you need room,
Fortunately, here at 606,
and here you are. You You got your room.
But there we go.
What about pulling those in closer to kind of match the drum kit a bit more?
Do something. There we go.
You still on auto or are those at 100?
There we go. There we go.
What?
Level okay?
Yeah, we got 4 dB.
Okay. Love how knocky it is. And if you wanted it, go ahead, Alex. Output down a little. There you go. So now it's distorting that. The only thing I would do to the stereo rooms, can you solo those up?
That's that little body.
Yeah. There we go.
Where'd you do that? I mean, what frequency?
60. Too much there. But there you go. All right. Whoop, whoop.
Almost left side. Oh, yeah. Hey, yep.
Kind of curious what happens if you place cymbals though. Do you have the percussion for us real quick? There we go. Okay, here's an interesting, so now he's playing slower.
We're not hearing it right now. I was just getting another sidechain process going here.
Oliver, out of curiosity, can we hear the rooms, the stereo rooms, no processing? Oh wait,
There's a bypass. Yeah. Ah.
Let's see if it does. It's right here.
those two, right? Okay. Well, that's what I want. So there's the room's flat, by the way. Oh, no, not flat. No, there's flat. Sometimes it's kind of cool just to leave a set of room mics sort of no processing, especially because this room's so good. Just leave them flat. All right, add that into the.
Could you?
Right? Almost kind of. That might be too much for this. I prefer that, gentlemen, on the rooms. Just stereo, anyways.
Yeah.
The mono room you got going on sounds great.
Yeah.
I think we lost Victor.
We lose him?
Yeah.
He's still with us.
You wanna stop, dude? Yeah, come on in.
Yeah.
I think he's toast. He's playing his ass off.
I'm gonna pull these out.
So you were asking earlier while Darrell was talking, I was just quickly dialing up a little Fatso here, which is another parallel chain I've got going on. And that I have on a bus of the console. And I was just sending all the kicks, all the snares, the toms, and the overheads all to that. And we weren't monitoring it while I was futzing with it because you were working on something else. So I just kind of visually set it to how like you were saying with the tuning, you just kind of know how it'll sound.
Yeah.
So I just kind of did my standard thing with it, and again, mixed in with the track. Like here, this sounds way overcooked, and like, what is that?
See, I love that.
What are you looking for?
A little bit more of the room la naturelle.
Yeah, that was muted. See, right here towards the end of this,
Yep.
It gets way too loud.
That's
here.
where I
that's what
screwed the
happened.
pooch.
Yeah.
Not the stereo mics. Those are the only thing we. I don't know. I just kind of for what the pattern you're playing, where you're located in the room, the combination of things. They just sound kind of better, just not processed.
Yeah.
Just flat.
Yeah, you need something. Sometimes this is true.
Yeah, and that's. I was heavily compressing them, but it just didn't sound right. It was too muddy or woolly or. That's the poke?
Yeah, I just took a little top out of it. It was pretty
Just
bitey.
a little?
That. That is a live room.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not studio. Is it A at Henson?
No.
Which one's the big room at Henson?
A. Yeah, no, I'm saying it's not A at Henson.
Yeah,
It's
A-
usable
A
without completely.
A is a basketball gymnasium.
Yeah, it's two basketball gymnasiums.
With a racquetball court
Yeah,
thrown in there.
the two of them attached to the
Yeah,
side.
exactly.
You guys want to let Victor hear this poke mic since that's his, I think that's your favorite mic, right?
That is my.
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
You got a little bit of it?
Well, he was hearing it in his cans.
Oh, okay, here you are.
But still.
The one thing I would change about this is I'd put a transient designer at the end of it,
Oh, yeah.
which was something I used to do a lot.
To
Just
make
to
it
get
shorter or longer?
Shorter. Because with the distortion, it's just lengthen the note of those drums.
I hear that with the loops?
Yeah.
See, even that by itself is kind of a dope
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Like, that's pretty, like, you could
Absolutely.
just use that, right?
Well, you could do that and add.
You got some rhymes, right? You want to bust one out?
Oliver's full. Oliver. No, dude. Oliver is ready to spit anytime you want him to. He's just ready to lay it down.
I know, I sensed it.
Yeah,
Yeah, party
That
people.
makes me happy, yeah.
it's a good vibe.
That was cool, Victor. Thank you.
You know, for me, I just had such terrible drums growing up. I really had just a hodgepodge of weird stuff. There was even one drum I had that came with a towel underneath the head.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, that kind of sounds cool, right? Like, I don't know. It's like making the best of stuff and just figuring out, because every drum is unique and every person is unique, and you figure out what's your sound, you know, what is your, what are you expressing, right?
Right.
Figure out what that is.